primero, antes de todo, les queremos dar la bienvenida a Nueva York.
In New York City, the migrant crisis appears to be hitting a new level of chaos as its shelter system is about to overflow.
180,000 people have come to New York City seeking asylum, but although the city initially promised to take care of everybody, some officials are now having second thoughts about that decision for some reason.
But you're right, this is bankrupting our city. This is money that is hard-earned tax dollars from people in New York City who are struggling to get by as it is. Keep a roof over their head, pay for food, put gas in their car, electricity, you name it. And they're being told by our mayor that there's a responsibility here for them to house, shelter, provide food, education, health care, legal services, laundry services for these individuals. I've urged the mayor to stop misinterpreting this right to shelter, which is simply for, it was intended for New Yorkers, not for 8 billion people on the planet.
The city is now offering migrants a free one-way ticket to anywhere.
5 times a day, a Greyhound bus rolls into Plattsburgh, New York. But for many on board, their final destination is Roxham Road, the nearby illegal border crossing into Quebec. As the New York Post first reported, New York City is getting inspiration from places like Texas and Arizona and busing migrants out.
New York City is crowded, and there's an offer on the table. Free tickets for migrants, plane or bus. But guess what? They want to stay put. They rather deal with the problems in New York City. Why? Let's figure this out. In New York City, a program offering free plane and bus tickets to migrants aimed at encouraging them to relocate from the city has seen a limited uptake, despite the city's efforts to alleviate the pressure on its shelter systems by opening a, quote, re-ticketing site in East Village. Only 10% of the migrants who visit the site accepted tickets to leave. But when you think about it, many of us choose to stay in New York City despite all of its challenges. And we're going to talk about that in this video. But first, I want to talk about the sponsor of this video, Aura.com, protecting you and your digital identity. In New York City, there's a lot of challenges here, especially in our digital lives. We often face a lot of risks but choose to stay connected. But that's where our sponsor, Aura.com, steps in, providing a safety net for your digital world. There's data brokers out there selling your personal info, like your full name, email, home address, even health records and details about your relatives. With Aura, you can navigate the internet with the same determination and security, knowing that you're protected from identity theft, financial fraud, and more. Let Aura be your digital backbone, ensuring your online safety while you tackle life's challenges. It's packed with features like antivirus, password management, and VPN services to keep both your devices and your personal information under lock and key. And guess what? You can experience Aura's full suite of protective features absolutely free for 14 days. Sign up for the 14-day free trial and start your journey to a more secure digital future. Protect yourself and your family with Aura. The link will be in the description box below. Out of the 5,560 individuals that went to this reticketing site, the reticketing site where you're able to get a free bus or plane ticket, only 770 took up the offer. The acceptance rate further declined during one particular week, with less than 1% of the migrants choosing to relocate. Why do many of these migrants do not want to leave, despite how cold it is and how they had to stay outside, how packed the shelters are?
The city says that 183,000 migrants have arrived in the city over 2 years, many filtering into the city's temporary shelters. And now there's a policy shift. Many migrants currently in those shelters will be given housing for 30 days.
Under the deal, migrant adults without children will still face a 30-day time limit on shelter. But moving forward, instead of being able to reapply indefinitely for more 30-day placements, the city will now have the authority to decide case by case who gets an extension and for how long, based on extenuating circumstances.
With this new rule in the New York City shelters, you have a bunch of young men who probably are not able to get back in the shelter system. So that means a lot of men out there on the streets because many of them are not going to leave. And now they're going to do what? I don't know. But one thing that they're going to have to worry about when they're hanging out in the streets is crime. And crime is getting worse.
Well, an unimaginable heartbreak for a family tonight after 19-year-old twin sisters were both stabbed in Park Slope early this morning. One of the sisters tonight has succumbed to her injuries.
Emotions overflowing from family and friends who knew the driver best. Police say the incident started when a man confronted a tow truck driver about his car that was being hauled away.
He's upset that his car is getting towed. They exchange words back and forth, and then Carlisle opens up the front door of that truck, and then here comes that punch. This was a punch so hard that police say Carlisle fell to the ground, and tonight he is gone.
First at 5, a shocker on the subway. A group of people attacked by a stranger with fire.
Police are looking for that man you just saw holding 2 cans of fire on the subway platform. They say he lit the flammable liquid and then threw the cans at a group of strangers.
We begin tonight with more gun violence in New York City, this time in the middle of Tompkins Square Park, in the middle of the day. 2 people, park goers on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon, spent that afternoon in the hospital, the victims of bullets intended for someone else.
All those clips I just showed you happened in the last week. This was not something I'm grabbing from many weeks and many months. All of these events happened in the last week. So why would the migrants want to stay? Why am I staying? Well, that's another video for another time. Many migrants have expressed a desire to stay in New York City despite the challenges, including the long waits for shelter beds and cold conditions. They find it difficult to consider starting over a new place where they have to navigate finding work and accommodations all over again. Some migrants have managed to find jobs in the city and fear losing their current opportunities and the support network they already built.
With a major announcement from New York Governor Kathy Hochul involving the ongoing migrant crisis. Governor Hochul announced this morning, alongside some restaurant industry leaders, that the state labor department has identified nearly 400 employers across the state with more than 18,000 jobs available for work-eligible asylum seekers. And that means pretty immediately those jobs will be available for them.
But checking out some of the personal stories that's in this article, this one man from Venezuela, he shared that he prefers to stay in New York City and try his luck, even if it means going weeks without a shelter bed. He questions the logic of leaving New York City only to start all over again. Another person from Venezuela expressed gratitude and support for assistance he has received in New York City. He's currently waiting for permission to work and is determined not to leave once he starts working full time. Despite the challenges, he hasn't had to sleep on the streets yet, finding refuge in the churches in Harlem and in the Bronx. Many migrants just not want to start over again. The problem is the city has spent $7.6 million on reticketing initiative since the start of the migrant crisis in spring of 2022, but the reluctance of the migrants to leave suggests that the challenges they face in New York City are still preferable to the uncertainty of moving to a new location, and especially where they probably came from. So it's not going to be easy to have people leave. They don't want to start over. There's jobs, there's the apps right there doing gig work. There are ways to make money here. Now, how much money can you make, and can you afford how expensive rent is? I guess that's another question, but they don't want to start over in a new spot. And then the thing too about living in New York City is a sanctuary city. You have opportunities, you have benefits that most places probably won't have at all. Another thing too, New York City, you can find someone that could probably speak your language. This is how diverse this city is. There's certain areas, certain blocks where you can talk to people in your native tongue compared to other places where you're going to be by yourself. So the sense of community and support network established in New York City is an extremely significant factor. Migrants may have friends or community connections that provide emotional support, practical support, some money, making the city more appealing to stay compared to going to somewhere else. New York City offers certain services like healthcare and legal assistance to migrants that they worry may not be accessible or available in other locations. So all these factors collectively contribute to the decision for many migrants to stay in New York City, despite the challenges that they face. Each migrant decision is influenced by a complex interplay of personal, social, and economic factors, which keeps us all in a spot where there's too many people here. And it looks like even the people who decide to come here don't want to leave. So again, where does that leave us? Is there other ways for the mayor and the governor to convince some of the migrants to leave? I don't know. They're looking to try to figure out what's going on. But the problem is, why would you leave if you're a migrant if you're getting a lot of benefits? Preloaded credit cards, access to hotels. You're getting a lot to a point where the people who are here, who are homeless, native New Yorkers, are mad about that. So why would you leave? New York City is the perfect place to be if you are a migrant. You are probably going to be able to talk to someone who speaks your language. You could probably find a job. You can access to services. It's difficult to say, well, take this ticket and go to the middle of the country where you're going to get little to none of those resources coming to you. So as much as New York City is trying to figure out how to stop this crisis, it looks like it's going to continue to have problems and going to affect all of us New Yorkers in the foreseeable future. But what do you guys think about this story? Put in the comments below your thoughts. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.